This stands as one of the darkest choices a cinema hero ever faced. The year 2005 brought theaters a scene that left audiences in silence. A trusted protector ignited his lightsaber in a room full of defenseless children. Viewers condemned Anakin Skywalker for the event at the Jedi Temple, and critics called him a monster who lost his mind. That terrible night actually made logical sense? The evidence exists straight in the movie lore, and the alternative outcome promised something worse than death. We owe a sincere thank you to everyone who left comments on the last upload. This video would not exist without you, because we chose this exact topic straight from those discussions. Please write your ideas for our next What If videos below. The most liked comments get selected next. Hit that like button and subscribe. General Skywalker marched up the temple steps with the 501st Legion directly behind him. He wore his dark robes, pulling his hood up against the Coruscant wind. Clone troopers secured the perimeter, effectively trapping everyone inside. Deep in the council chambers, younglings hid behind the chairs, waiting for help. One stepped forward to speak. The boy called him Master Skywalker, asking what they should do because there were simply too many clones. Anakin looked at the child and ignited his blue blade in the dark room. George Lucas cut the scene there, leaving the horror to our imagination. Fans spent the next 2 decades debating his sudden turn to absolute evil. The script paints a picture of a man blindly following a dictator's orders, but we need to look closer at the actual situation on Coruscant that night. The newly appointed emperor commanded the complete extermination of the ancient religious order. Palpatine explicitly demanded that no one survive the purge. Commander Cody fired on Obi-Wan Kenobi just moments before the temple assault began. Clone armies across the galaxy turned their weapons on their commanding officers, and the Republic fell in a matter of hours. Anakin knew the Jedi Order ceased to exist the second Mace Windu died in Palpatine's office. He faced a grim reality regarding the children inside that building. Those kids officially became enemies of the newly formed Galactic Empire. Clone troopers actively hunted down any remaining Force-sensitive individuals across the core worlds. Nobody offered an escape route or a rescue ship for the youngest members. The temple stood entirely surrounded by heavily armed soldiers, carrying out a direct execution mandate. General Skywalker understood the dark mathematics of the siege. The clones possessed enough firepower to breach the council chambers within minutes, and he reached the room first. The children trusted him entirely, making him the only person capable of acting before the soldiers arrived. Darth Sidious operated with high efficiency. He wanted the adult masters eliminated immediately, and his plans for the youth involved something darker. Leaving those children alive meant handing them directly to the Sith Lord. Palpatine specialized in breaking minds and twisting innocent people into dark side weapons. He maintained secret facilities specifically designed for capturing Force-sensitive youth. The newly crowned emperor required specialized agents to hunt down the surviving masters who escaped the initial purge. Those frightened kids hiding in the council room represented his perfect recruiting pool. Clone troopers would have dragged them screaming into the lower levels of Coruscant. Imperial interrogators employed specialized torture droids to strip away their identities. The process took months of agonizing physical pain and mental manipulation. Anakin experienced Palpatine's psychological games firsthand, recognizing what the Sith Master intended to do with a room full of easily manipulated apprentices. A swift end looks entirely different under these conditions. Project Harvester operated as a classified Imperial initiative designed to capture gifted children. The dark side demanded pain, and the Empire supplied it through organized reconditioning centers. Captured Padawans faced a choice between yielding to hatred or suffering endless agony, eventually becoming the dreaded Inquisitors. These red blade-wielding assassins terrorized the galaxy for years following the Republic's collapse. The Grand Inquisitor himself served as a temple guard before succumbing to the darkness, and he personally oversaw the corruption of younger captives. The training regimen forced students to fight each other to the death in dimly lit arenas. Instructors routinely severed limbs to teach lessons about loss and anger. Survivors lost all memories of their past lives, along with their real names, and the Empire assigned them numbers instead. The ninth sister and the fifth brother replaced their former identities completely. They existed purely to inflict the exact same torment they endured upon others, and this cycle of violence awaited the Younglings? The series Obi-Wan Kenobi gave audiences a clear look at this exact process. Reva Savander survived the Temple Massacre by hiding among the fallen, though her survival brought her nothing but misery. The Empire found her, broke her spirit, and transformed her into the third sister. Her entire adult life consisted of rage, pain, and hunting former allies, leaving deep emotional scars that dictated every action she took. Another victim, Trilla Suduri, experienced a similarly tragic fate in the Jedi Fallen Order video game. The Empire tortured Trilla until her former master barely recognized the woman she became. She openly wept when remembering her past, proving the original person still existed, trapped beneath the dark side conditioning. Anakin spared the kids in the council chamber from living that exact nightmare. He delivered a swift, painless strike from a trusted friend, instead of decades of calculated Imperial torture. Mercy takes many confusing forms during a hostile government takeover. A single lightsaber strike ends a life in less than a second. The weapon cauterizes the wound instantly, preventing any drawn-out suffering. General Skywalker delivered the fastest possible outcome for a situation with zero chance of rescue. Viewers judged the act from the comfort of their living rooms, demanding a heroic rescue that simply could not happen. Millions of clone troopers occupied the capital planet, and anti-aircraft batteries covered the airspace above the temple. Escaping with a dozen small children undetected required highly unusual luck. Palpatine possessed complete control over the planetary security grid. The Sith Lord would sense their presence anywhere they hid. Anakin chose the burden of guilt over abandoning them to the torturers, taking the horror upon his own conscience. The Younglings closed their eyes and vanished into the Force, never feeling the cold metal of an interrogation chair or the sting of a dark side electro whip. Examining the actual institution those children belonged to reveals more context. The Jedi Order functioned essentially as a large, government-funded organization with strict rules. They dispatched representatives across the galaxy to identify infants with high midichlorian counts. These recruiters approached parents and convinced them to surrender their toddlers for the greater good. The families never saw their kids again because the Order strictly forbade any contact with the outside world. The temple walls served as a rigid facility, disguised as a school. Masters taught these toddlers to completely suppress their natural human emotions. They labeled fear, anger, and love as dangerous paths, leading straight to evil. A normal childhood simply did not exist within the organization. Students spent their formative years practicing combat techniques and meditating in silent rooms. The curriculum focused entirely on molding them into detached enforcers for the Galactic Senate. Anakin deeply despised this system, having entered the Order at age 9, which made him old enough to remember the warmth of a mother's affection. The Clone Wars exposed the darkest element of the Jedi methodology. The supposedly peaceful monks eagerly accepted roles as military generals. They drafted teenagers into active combat zones across the Outer Rim. Padawans, barely old enough to drive a speeder, suddenly commanded battalions of clone troopers. Ahsoka Tano found herself fighting heavy artillery droids at just 14 years old. The Council routinely placed these adolescents in the direct path of deadly Sith assassins like General Grievous. Casualties among the younger ranks mounted quickly during the 3-year conflict. The High Council viewed these losses as an acceptable cost of doing business with the Republic. Anakin watched countless young commanders perish in muddy trenches while the older masters sat comfortably in their high tower. He recognized the hypocrisy of peacekeepers operating as warlords. Taking out the next generation permanently prevented the Senate from using them as disposable frontline infantry. The destruction of the Order stopped the child soldier pipeline immediately. The rule against attachment destroyed the minds of many promising knights. Yoda famously told Anakin to rejoice when people he cared about died. The ancient Green Master instructed him to simply let go of everything he feared losing. This advice proved completely useless to a teenager terrified of losing his hidden wife. Padme Amidala represented the only genuine source of happiness in his chaotic military life, yet the Jedi demanded he suppress his feelings entirely. This toxic emotional suppression created unstable warriors, masking their trauma behind a serene facade. The policy guaranteed that any member experiencing normal human struggles had nowhere to turn for help. Confessing his marriage meant immediate expulsion and public disgrace. The children hiding in that council room faced a lifetime of this exact emotional starvation. They would grow up entirely alone, surrounded by peers, but completely isolated in their feelings. Anakin viewed the institution as deeply broken, and ending it meant nobody else would suffer that cold isolation. Shmi Skywalker died in her son's arms on the desert planet of Tatooine. Sand people tortured her for a month, while the Jedi Masters forbade Anakin from attempting a rescue. They ordered him to focus on his political protection assignment instead, and by following their rules, his mother paid the ultimate price. That incident permanently fractured his faith in the High Council. He realized their strict adherence to a rigid code actively prevented them from doing the right thing. The Masters preached compassion, but demonstrated apathy toward a slave woman's suffering. The young knight carried that resentment for years, watching the council members judge him daily for exhibiting normal human reactions to grief. When the fateful night arrived, his blade struck the youth and the entire failed philosophy that let his mother perish. He saw an opportunity to tear down the bureaucratic nightmare that robbed him of his family. Ancient texts predicted a chosen one, destined to restore balance to the Force. The Jedi misunderstood what balance actually meant. They assumed it required the total eradication of the dark side, but a scale heavily tipped toward the light remains unbalanced. The galaxy contained 10,000 practicing Jedi and exactly 2 Sith Lords. The Force demanded an equalization. Bringing true balance required dismantling the bloated, arrogant light side structure. Anakin served as the universe's harsh instrument of correction. The prophecy did not promise a peaceful transition, demanding instead a violent restructuring of galactic power dynamics. The Order grew stagnant, blinding themselves to the political corruption happening right in front of them. Their ability to use the Force diminished because they lost their connection to ordinary people. Sweeping the board clean became a cosmic necessity. The Younglings represented the continuation of that stagnant era, and their survival would simply restart the exact same flawed organization. Forest fires serve a necessary ecological purpose. The flames consume the dead underbrush, allowing new seeds to finally reach the sunlight. The Jedi Order acted like large trees, blocking all light from the forest floor. Anakin provided the spark that burned the corrupted system to the ground. This catastrophic event paved the way for something entirely different to emerge decades later. Luke Skywalker built a new academy based on a radically different interpretation of the Force. He allowed his students to experience love, form attachments, and maintain family connections. This healthier approach only became possible because his father eradicated the old guard completely. No surviving masters remained to enforce the toxic ancient rules. The tragedy in the council chambers functioned as a painful amputation, saving the larger body. The old ways died in that room, ensuring future generations could practice the light side without losing their humanity. The situation required a total reset. Padme's impending death finalized his decision. Palpatine convinced his new apprentice that gaining advanced dark side abilities required an unforgivable act. The Sith teachings demanded a severe sacrifice to alter the fabric of life and death. Anakin traded his morality to secure his family's future. From his desperate perspective, the lives of 20 children mattered less than the woman carrying his own unborn twins. He approached the task with cold, calculated precision. The tears falling down his face on Mustafar proved he took zero pleasure in the massacre. He hated himself for doing it, but accepted the horrible cost of his bargain. The dark side demanded a toll, and he paid it in full. He believed bearing this heavy burden would guarantee his wife's survival. In a galaxy consumed by war and betrayal, he prioritized his actual family over the artificial one that constantly judged him. Anakin Skywalker committed an atrocity that forever stained his legacy. The event transformed a celebrated war hero into a terrifying machine, driven by regret. Examining the harsh realities of Imperial torture, the flawed religious system, and the prophecy itself reveals a brutal logic behind the lightsaber strike. He saved those children from becoming twisted monsters and tore down a failing institution. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to subscribe.